What's up, guys? I am Lee Morris. This is Patrick Hall. This is Critique the Community, and what we're going to be doing today is looking at 21 different images that our assistant has picked out, that our community members have given us to critique as honestly as we possibly can. I have never seen any of these images before. I don't know who took them. I don't know what I'm about to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then throw out a rating, 1 to 5. 1 being a snapshot, 2 needing work before it hits your portfolio, 3 being a solid image, 4 being excellent, 5 being world-class or unforgettable. So we've already done this once. This is the second time we've done it. Are you ready to begin?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so this is our first image here. Pretty interesting. I'm a little bit in between numbers here, but I think I'm going to give it a rating. You ready?
Sure.
3, 2, 1, go. 4 stars. You give it 4 as well. We agree it's excellent. I would lean more towards a 3.5 star on this. I don't think the composite is perfect. You can definitely see a little bit difference in sharpness and color temperature between the actual subject and the background, so that's a little bit obvious that it's fake. However, it's really done well overall. The idea is great. The compositing is pretty decent. Like, if you step back a little bit, you'd never think that it was done in Photoshop. And if you weren't a photographer, I don't think you'd ever be able to really know. What do you think about it?
I love it. I mean, I don't know where this is. This looks like Abu Dhabi, which, if it is, we had the chance to go out there and missed our opportunity.
Yeah.
The only thing that really bothers me is the subject matter. He's lit really cool. It almost seems like maybe the light hitting him should be warmer because the light in the background is warm. Yeah. But I wish he was doing something a little more interesting. I don't know if he should be praying or his arm should have some more energy in it. It just kind of seems like he's standing there. And for me, it's a little boring, but I still gave this a 4. Like, I think this is really a great image. And maybe I find it's a great image because the subject matter is so different from everything I'm used to seeing. But I love it. I think this was a photo of the day recently, so our editors liked it as well.
Cool. Next image. Ooh. All right, you ready?
I think I'm between numbers on this one.
3, 2, 1. Ooh, 3 stars. So that's interesting.
I was hoping to give this a 3.5.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out, but I was torn.
I mean, I lean towards 5, although I couldn't ever admit that this is an unforgettable image. I've definitely seen some good lizard photography before. Maybe I've just seen, like, every time you see a picture of a lizard in a book or a magazine or, National Geographic, it's usually pretty solid. This is done really well. Why did you only give this 3? This is really good to me.
I mean, I think part of me might have been persuaded because I think you were going to give it a 4, and I thought it deserved a 3.5. I do lean towards 4. This is definitely more in the style that you would see in National Geographic. We've seen other images. I think last week we critiqued some flowers and insects, and this now all of a sudden is way above what the average person does when they get a macro lens.
I think it's great. I think the lighting's really cool. I don't know if this was shot in nature and then the background was cut out. I don't know if this is a softbox reflection that you can see in his eye or if that's trees and light coming through trees. I'm not sure, but it definitely has that studio lit look. I think it's great. That's why I gave it 4 stars. I can't say it's unforgettable, though, so can't give it a 5. Next up.
Now, this picture is interesting because I'm pretty sure I was just watching a tutorial, and this image was in that tutorial.
I've never seen this picture before.
I think this is Iceland.
Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1. What?
4?
I give it 3.
Oh.
I gave it 3. Yeah, I don't see how you can give this a 4. So you explain.
I think it's great. I think it's an interesting landscape. They're in a really cool location. They've done a lot to lengthen the exposure and to make it, have that real silky look. Maybe I'm a little more forgiving on really well done landscapes. I don't know how this could be.
See, I would say I'm the opposite. I would say I am much harder on landscape photography because there's so much incredible landscape photography out there.
I feel like for me, a lot of it is just picking something that's truly memorable and a great location. And to me, this is a beautiful place that like I would love to go to, and it's captured well.
It's captured okay. I don't know about you. Like, I usually judge landscape pictures as, would I want this in my house as a piece of artwork? And this to me is a good snapshot. You know, the person,
Snapshot.
yeah, they came there, they set a long exposure. Like, obviously they did a little bit more. You can tell they dodged the rocks on the side, on either side, to bring out the detail there. It was probably really dark.
You think it was just shot at the wrong time of day?
No, I just don't think anything about this image is that exciting to me. I don't know. This seems like something that I would take on vacation, like when I went to Alaska and we stopped on the cruise and we got off somewhere and I took a picture like this of a glacier. You come in Photoshop, do some dodging and burning, and then I'm like, it's cool to remember it, but I'm not going to put this in my portfolio and I'm not going to print it out and hang it on the wall.
I mean, I think we disagree.
We
If
disagree?
I had this shot and I had it printed on metal with lights hitting it to really accentuate the highlights in the picture, I think it looked killer printed up large. But
All right, we disagree. 1 star off, though. Oh, I know who took this one.
it says his name right there too.
I think you and I may have actually...
I've already rated this image on the website.
Okay,
I
I'm
didn't
sure
know
I
this-
have too. I have no idea.
I didn't know this image would be in the mix though.
But I think perhaps you and I have actually argued what this picture should be rated months ago.
I'm pretty sure I know the rating I gave it.
I can't remember, but I'm willing to give you a rating now. Are you ready?
Right.
3, 2, 1. This is what I think we were arguing about before. I gave it an excellent. You gave it a 3. I personally think it's excellent, not because the lighting is super unique or anything like that, but just because the subject matter is so unique. He took the time to take this crazy picture. I know... Go, go, go. I know that he, got in the shower and clogged up his shower to do this. It's incredibly memorable. I would even say this picture's unforgettable at this point to me.
Yeah.
But it's not perfectly executed, so that's why I would never give it a 5 star. But I would definitely give it a 4 because it is so memorable. And in my opinion, I will not forget this picture. Every time I see it, I think of Noam now.
I think the one thing that takes me away is the lighting. I think if this was lit in such a cool way, we could definitely... To me, it would definitely be more memorable. It just kind of looks so flat and bounce light or something. It's just funny because I know Noam, and it's funny to think that he actually did that. But
yeah,
I just think this is the sort of thing that could be an ad for some kind of printer company or something, and it's not quite there.
You're right. You're right.
So,
it's lit like a 2 or 3 star image.
but the concept is, really out there. So
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
maybe 3.5 is accurate, but I gave it a
I can
3.
agree with that. This is a tough one for me. I'm in between numbers.
I think it's a pretty solid number to me.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. 2 star.
Yeah,
All right, we agree. The reason why this was tough for me to rate was because this image is lit well, I believe. The photographer knows what they're doing. They obviously have either the black glass or the glass with the black underneath it. They've got the cool reflection going on. The reason that I gave it a 2, though, was 100% because of the model and her expression. She looks incredibly uncomfortable. She doesn't look like a model. The pose is awkward. It's funny. Before we started filming this, I was going through a book of Kate Moss and Testino. And to go from that to this expression is just kind of like this huge kick in the face. And the interesting thing about that book is every picture, if any of those pictures were released on the community, every single person would say, these pictures are blurry, these pictures are grainy, you shouldn't have put that in your portfolio.
But because it's Kate Moss.
It's
and
Kate
Mario
Moss.
Testino.
Yeah, it's like the unique lighting, the interesting styling, everything about it. And this is not that. This is not that at all.
I mean, I think I agree everything with what you're saying. Like the model, it's weird that she's got the different color fingernails, and like sometimes the fingernails like come off a little trashy with, it's like different colors, and the lipstick's red, and then the eyeshadow, like just nothing really comes together in terms of hair and makeup. I know sometimes fashion, it's all about that. Nothing makes sense, and that's why it's fashion. But I think the necklines look weird. She looks like she's in an awkward pose. She's given the deer in the headlights with the absolute no expression in the mouth. It's like this was a test shoot, and maybe this is a great test shoot for some other thing you're going to do the next week with the perfect model. But
this looks to me like it's a senior portrait type thing. You know, I don't know anything about the photographer of this picture, but it just appears to me, like, hey, I'm a senior, I want to get a sexy picture of me taken, but I've never modeled before. This is me trying to model, but not really accomplishing it. Next. I am between numbers again.
He's back. He made it back.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to be lenient on this one. 3, 2, 1. I gave it a 3. I definitely think it's a 2.5. So we rated it correctly. Why do you think it's a 2?
I used to be obsessed with doing shots like this, having the water splashing, because it's kind of in a way a gimmick. It's like you backlight water, and it's instantly this energetic, cool thing. But for me, it almost doesn't make sense in this context. It's like I look at it and think he's like punching water balloons.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to go this route, it needs to be sweat, and then you have to really work the image to get the sweat to look right. It needs to be subtle. It's tough. Like it comes across again as kind of like a test shoot.
Yes,
I agree. We're doing
agree.
a lighting test, and we're trying the water, and it's not lit bad. It's just I feel like I don't know who the subject is. He kind of appears like a fighter,
But he doesn't look like a fighter.
and then there's like nothing in the background, which sometimes could be fine. It's missing a lot of elements. I think the lighting's pretty good. I think the expression in the model's a little off. The model himself might be off. The whole water thing, like it's just a little too much.
I kind of think this image suffers from the exact same thing the last image suffered from. It's like, what is the genre of picture that you're going for? Is this supposed to be a boxer? Well, then we should probably get a guy that has the physique of a boxer, I don't think those are boxing shoes. I know boxing shoes can kind of look like those. Those look more like basketball shoes to me. I'm not sure. Those don't look like basketball shorts. He does have the tape on his hands, but he's like wincing, like water's going in his eyes. Just nothing about this picture looks like the finished shot. This looks exactly like you said, the test shot to me. Hey, let's see if our lights are fast enough to capture drops of water. Let's go out real quick and do a shot instead of like coming up with this whole concept and saying, here's the vision.
He did take it like that one extra step though. Like he's thinking, or
Yeah.
she, whoever the photographer is, like they're.
And that's why I gave it a 3. I feel like it's not, I don't know.
Would you be offended to see this in someone's portfolio?
A little bit.
So
a
it's
little
right
bit.
on the 2.5.
Yeah, it's on the 2 to 3 level. I've seen this before. Do you know who took this?
I actually do know who took this. I think it's our bracelet guy.
Really?
Yeah. Adam.
Oh, awesome. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Really?
We are really disagreeing in this episode.
I know. We had almost all the same answers before. I give it a 4. I think it's excellent. I love the model. I love his expression. I love the post-production. I love the tones of the image. I like the styling. I think the background is cool looking. It's simple, but good. I think this is much, much better than the average solid image that we see on our community.
I could be persuaded to think that too. To me, his expression to me seems a little blank. It seems like you got everything right, and now you should knock off 20 frames, and maybe this wouldn't be the best of the 20 frames.
Maybe, but I mean, he still has. It's still interesting. It's
He's
not
interesting,
blank. It's
right.
not blank. It's just you want him to be a little bit more menacing or sexy.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
like I feel like he should be the tough guy, or he should be, the skateboarder who's got the great smile, and he's like in between.
That's kind of why I
an
like
emotion.
it. Like it's interesting. I don't know. Who knows how long ago I saw this picture, but I definitely remember seeing it, and I definitely remember liking it. It's just something about it's very interesting to me.
It is really well done. I mean, I think for me, if I had to go 3.5, if that's our average, to me it's the expression maybe. But other than that, I mean, the background looks great, the lighting looks great, everything seems pretty subtle. It's not overlit. The tones, like everything you said, the tones are great.
All right, next up. All right, are you ready?
These are getting harder the more architecture I see.
Yeah. I'm much more of a architectural photography connoisseur these days.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, you ready?
I think so. I mean,
3, 2, 1. Off again. Really?
I was thinking 3, but again, I just go back to like if this was in your portfolio, this for me, and maybe my limited knowledge of architectural photographers, this is still better than just solid. Like if somebody saw this, they would want to book them to sell their house.
I don't know
like
if I
the
can
angle.
Agree. Yes, yeah, I think the angle.
It's got a lot of natural light in it. I feel like this image could so easily be overlit. You could kill the ambient a little more and start popping flashes all over the place, and it would have more pop to it. I feel like this just has enough of the lit look, but it still sits in a very natural environment to me. The tree kind of bothers me. It looks like a little too bright, but maybe that's really supposed to put the mood into this is in a tropical region.
I would like, and I don't know, maybe I'm spoiled by Mike's pictures, but what bothers me about this image, I feel like the wall at the bottom and then the second story side, the white area, is just too bright and it's too plain. And it just makes me see these big rectangular blocks on this image, whereas if you added like a little vignette to the bottom of the picture, or you added I don't want to see like a hot spot on the wall, but you add some flash pop so that it darkens a little bit on the edges. I think I could be brought into this image a lot more.
Yeah, I just think this image is so modern, and the lines are supposed to have this. All the vanishing point goes off to the right and goes off to the left. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of nice that they're clean, and like a simple. There's not much of a gradient, for me. I mean,
I think my problem is like if you look at the bottom half of this picture, just how white it is, and how it just looks.
Yeah, maybe the concrete in the front could be darker to make the whole house pop off the image, and then maybe even with that being said, maybe the sky could be a little darker to make the house pop off a little more.
I think this is like, everything the photographer did is right on the money, except for maybe strobing the.
Little rails there?
No, the bush or whatever. That looks a little weird to me. It is 100% like a post-production thing to me. I just feel like it's a little bit bright. Next image. All right, so at this point, we have been off a decent amount.
Yeah. We've still only been off by one score.
We have never been off by more than one.
And in many cases, I think we both had trouble choosing between, and we've averaged out to what we thought.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. I remember this picture from the community. You ready?
Yeah, I think I got this one.
Man, I'm in between numbers. 3, 2, 1. What is wrong with you?
This is a 4.
No, it is
Really?
not. No.
What were you in between numbers with?
2 and a 3.
Really?
Yes.
See, oh, this is our first big disagreement.
Yeah. I feel like with the right model and the right expression, this could be a 4 or a 5. But speaking of blank looks,
Yeah.
she has absolutely no expression on her face whatsoever. I don't like her makeup. I don't like her hair. It's like, it's just somebody's friend or their girlfriend or whatever, and it's not a model.
I mean, I can see the 3 now. Like, I probably should have gone 3 based on that. I don't mind the hair. I think the hair is lit well. I think the hair's got this... I don't mind the hair. To me, her eyes now are these dark cavities. Like, the whole image is about color, and then her eyes are black. You're right. She has no expression. If this was, like, a really attractive model-esque girl, not supermodel, but, like, you know, somebody you would hire from an agency for this type of shoot, it would be killer. I just feel like...
It's interesting.
The challenge of working with this material to get a shot like this is so much harder than water or anything else. And I think like the colors blend in well. They've stopped the motion of these particles. And I think her neck here looks a little weird. And if you start going below, doesn't it look like her figure is kind of manly or something? Like this whole area looks a little...
Oh, it looks, there must have been something photoshopped back on the right side.
It's like
of
her neck to her shoulder area.
She's
just
got
looks...
huge. What are these muscles?
The delts, maybe?
She's huge. I don't know what's going on there. Like, my eye didn't necessarily go right to that. Now it does. But in my opinion, there is no way this is a level 4.
You're right. I think if I could change a vote after hearing your persuasion, I would say a 3 as well. But
Okay.
This is still the sort of thing I can't say a 2. This would definitely book you work. This is good enough to be in your portfolio.
But it kills me because
So much work went into this.
Whoever did this, I guess we can see David Justice. Whoever did this spent so much time coming up with it, but they just overlooked the most important part, which was the talent. And in my opinion, instead of coming up with, the level 4, level 5, they did a level 2, level 3, just because there's no expression. This person, in my opinion, doesn't really look like a model, so it doesn't work. Next. I'm ready when you are. I'm in between numbers, but I'm going to be lenient.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
See, we're just disagreeing now.
No, I was in between a 2 and a 3, so that's good. Say why you think it's a 2.
So this has a lot of potential in that senior portrait, lifestyle, family, genre. And that's a huge, huge genre. I mean, that's kind of a lot of people's bread and butter. I just feel like the light on the model's face, like it's actually not that bad. I just feel like the hair in her eyes is kind of weird. Her eyes are a little dark. Maybe that's a makeup thing. The whole image looks rather soft. Maybe that's a subjective thing. Like I feel like this almost comes across more like a shoe ad or something, and it kind of bothers.
She is showing that shoe off really nicely.
It kind of bothers me that the feet are not in focus if it's gonna go in that direction. I just view it as like this background could have been better. Like I don't like the rails. I know that the rails are there, but if you just moved a little bit more, maybe you could have made the pink background more of a thing. You can definitely tell there's flowers and stuff around there. So this property is probably pretty well manicured if there's hanging flowers. It just suffers from a lot of little things for me. And I think that's what takes it away.
But the problem is, the thing that I do like about this picture that I've disliked about all the other pictures is I feel like she's a much better model. I feel like I really like her expression. I love her pose. It just comes down to like, what is up with this location? Why in the world is this picture taken right here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
And this is the sort of thing, if you had an assistant or a hairstylist there and they could just jump in there and just pop the hair out, I feel like
I don't even know if
the hair doesn't bother you.
maybe a little bit, a little
can
bit.
kinda-
Like I would like a little more of it to go up and a little bit to fall down. It's a little awkward, but
Do you feel like her head could be turned too far to the side? Is
maybe
that why?
maybe so. I feel like that's kind of nitpicking though. When the biggest thing to me is like we're sitting on these ugly concrete steps with these terrible looking. Like my eye goes to her first and then it goes directly down the railing.
I agree.
So
So just location choice. would
yeah,
be
so
fine.
take this girl, throw some colored dye at her, and boom, you have a 4 or 5 star image. That's really interesting.
You're between numbers again?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be as lenient on this one. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. I gave it 3, you gave it 4. I think that the bottom half of this is a 4. It looks incredible. I don't know how this was done. I would assume a lot of post-production's been done to bring out all the detail, which I would assume would be in shadow for a lot of these roofs. Like, I don't understand how the right side of the roofs have this nice yellow tint, but the left side is still really well lit. Something here doesn't make sense, but it looks really interesting to me. But then when I go up, like if you cover the bottom half, it looks like any other sunset that I shot with my phone. And so I just kind of lose interest really quickly.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I gave the other landscape shot a 4. I think this is probably better, like within the 4 rating. To me, this is on the higher end of like a 4.1 or 2.
Yeah.
The other one might have been like a 3.8. I love the foreground, like you said. I mean,
Yeah.
it has so much color going on. I know if I were to take this picture, everything would be this neon orange that's on the far right.
Right.
And I would have no blues, and then there's like different shades of yellow and whites. Like, it really is incredible. I don't know.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how they did it. I mean, when you look at like some of these houses down here that have the lights on and how orange they are.
They don't affect the neighboring.
Yeah, and then
property.
you look at like under the houses, the reflection of the houses in the water, and it's pure black. That's what I would assume.
We may have to go to this location to investigate and see how they did that.
Exactly. It's obviously some witchcraft in post-production, but they did a really good job. It doesn't look like crappy HDR.
Something that kind of bothers me, that maybe this is just me talking, but this stuff out here throws me for a loop. I keep thinking it's a barge, but then I see it and I'm like, no, it looks
it's
like
like
something.
Godzilla.
It's something out there, but I know it's there naturally, but it almost takes away from the picture to me because it keeps pulling me out into the ocean, and I feel like the subject matter isn't out in the ocean. So I know it seems crazy to Photoshop that out, but I almost would. And
I don't think it's crazy to Photoshop that out at all. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's been Photoshopped here, and so they. What do you think that is? An island?
Yeah, it almost looks like trees, but I mean, it could be something that was built out there and sunk. Like, who knows?
You know what I think I would do if I took this picture is completely cut out the sky and have just the water.
In like the edge of the earth or something.
Yeah, just the water be the top of the frame and just have it be all about these
Because the water
houses.
right up to the buildings is so interesting. Like the highlights and everything.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
All
a
right,
cool,
next
cool
shot.
image.
Okay, so this next shot, I remember seeing this one online. I'm in between
This is
numbers.
tough because I've found myself underwater trying to take pictures before.
I know.
And I've seen a lot of great and horrible examples of this.
I've seen my horrible examples of underwater photography.
I've never taken anyone underwater.
I have.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I did it when I used to live at the apartment. I thought you were there, and like we tried to take people in the pool and get pictures and do something like this. And it
I
was
remember testing strobes
failure.
and realizing radio doesn't work, and
Yeah.
optical slaves hardly work.
Yeah.
But I've never attempted this.
All right, I know what I'm going to give it.
All
Ready?
right.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. I was in between a 2 and a 3, and really, I think it might just come down to post-production and maybe styling. You know, you put this same exact girl in the same exact pose in a dress, all of a sudden it's like a new level of interesting. You take this exact same picture and you put a little bit more of like a color tweak on it, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like a swimming pool. Or actually, I guess this isn't a swimming pool. It looks like sand at the bottom there. But it takes you to a completely different place. It's a little bit more magical. Right now, it kind of looks like a swimming pool, even though I don't think it is. And so I love the model. I love her pose. I think it's really interesting. But just not enough was done with the styling and the post-production to really put it over the edge for me.
Yeah, I agree. It almost seems like what she's wearing, you remember the Chase Jarvis image where there's like a diver diving in? It seems like she has more of a sporty look for what this image is, and I agree. If it was a dress or something fashionable, this seems like this is trying to be a fashion image versus a sports image.
Right.
But they've cast the person or dressed the person as if it was a sports image
But
instead
then the pose is the fashion.
And maybe that could work, if this was a famous swimmer and, you could see their face a little bit better, maybe like this would fit, the ESPN magazine, artistic shot of the athlete. But something doesn't jive right there. But I agree. Like, I love that this isn't in a pool, but I think a vignette that kind of pulls you in and a moodier post-production would really kind of bring it all together. But it's done incredibly well for what it is. I mean, I would fail at this image if I had to go underwater, and maybe it's just shallow water with good light coming through.
Yeah, I don't think any real magic. I think a lot of this just comes down to the girl being able to actually do that pose.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good. I've tried to take underwater photography, and it's hard. Wow. This is from, I guess you can't even see it. This looks like a picture from like 1982 or something.
Yeah, has a real film look to it.
It's got to be from the 80s. Or at least the 90s.
No, it can't be.
Really?
No, like, this is somebody from our website uploaded this. You think, like, our reader took this in the 80s?
Or the 90s? I don't know. Like, look at this swimsuit and this. Look at what is she wearing? She's wearing like a. This is like Marty McFly when he goes to the future, and this is what they thought the future was going to look like in the 80s.
I mean,
she is wearing like Reynolds wrap.
It looks like something out of the circus. It's like there's the guy on the motorcycle going around the tigers, and then she's there, like, waving them on.
Yeah.
It's the worst critique ever. I think we have to rate this thing.
Okay, I'm going to give this something that people will probably think is unfair, but I'll have to explain it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, 2. The reason why I have to give this a 2 is because if this is in your portfolio, you do not look like a modern photographer at all. Like, it looks like somebody who, if this was not taken in the 80s or 90s, like, it's honestly really impressive. Everything about this, her hair, the outfit, her pose.
If this was shot this year,
That's
they
amazing.
get 100 for
Yeah, they
production.
get a level 5
Yeah.
for production. That's true. That's true. This is like really freaking me out right now because this just, I mean, this looks like Baywatch. I mean, this looks like before Baywatch in a lot of ways, but yeah, like the model looks super uncomfortable. That's a crazy looking face she has. It's like almost like a snarl.
The pose is strange.
The pose is straight
It's got
up.
this post-processing that's got, like, the cyan blues and the shadows, and, like, it's got,
I mean,
like,
it looks like film.
Like a film look.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember which film. It's like the Kodak film that was really saturated.
It's got the magenta blue
Yeah.
push towards it.
Yeah, and it's got the grain.
What do you think this is lit with? Is that a reflector bouncing back up, or it's obviously lit low. I think it is a reflector.
It would
Who
make
else
sense.
would light the nose shadows going up towards her eye? So it's like
that's what always makes me mad about people with the reflectors is they always reflect from below up, and I'm like, at what point would you ever put a light below someone? And so I would have to imagine that this is not strobed. This is a reflector, like you said. It's probably like the golden reflector, you know. People love that in the 80s and 90s. But man, that's like a time machine of a picture right there. So I'm so curious.
So how would you fix this? What would you tell this person if you had to critique and tell
in all honesty, I mean, you take this shot. I think you have somewhere around here a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition book full of pictures from the 90s.
Yeah.
And there are pictures that look like this without the absurd
outfit.
And
it's a supermodel.
And it's the supermodel.
But that's the look.
It is the look, I must admit. And they probably, the weird pose is the look too.
If I had to do, I shoot some swimwear every now and then, and if I had to do this, little tips for people out there, I think if you could get a bigger reflector, like a V-flat, and I know that's a pain in the ass to have out on the beach, but if you had something that was less directional, so now the fill light's not coming from low and up, and it's not gold necessarily, and you had just a softer light that's filling in, that's not acting, this is almost acting as a key light. The sun's the rim light.
Oh, yeah.
The reflectors become a low key, which is weird. But you use some kind of big reflector that's more subtle.
Yeah.
And I think the light would be really nice. I mean, the light's really not that bad, except on the face it looks weird.
And if she had a pretty expression. No, if you take this exact same light, which I don't like the uplighting, but you put a supermodel, or you even take this girl and you make her happy instead of like a witch that's like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, it's like she smells the pluff mud. You know, that's the expression on there.
Oh man, we've really ripped up. So I don't really understand what's happening in this picture. Do you know what you want to rate it?
I think I got a rating.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1, 2. We agree. And honestly, this is kind of close to a 3 or a 4 to me.
It has a lot of elements that could make this great.
Yeah, I feel like the lighting on her is fantastic. I love the shallow depth of field. I love the bokeh and the trees. I have no idea what's going on with the water on the bottom. I guess that was photoshopped in. I'm just so confused about that.
I think what gives it a 2 for me is like the concept. The concept is so strange. Like this could work well for like a dreamy novel or something. Like it's got that whole Twilight mystical thing to it. It's not like a standard portrait. This isn't a portrait of this girl, and like it's got this magical vibe to it. But with the water splashing, and you can't see where the water's coming from. And the water's coming so high, like it's coming from like, not her feet, but it's coming out of like her leg.
Well, that's what I keep second guessing myself and thinking, is this all water down here at the bottom?
Oh, you think she's standing in a pond.
It doesn't look real to me at all, but then I'm second guessing myself, like what if we rate this low because we think it's photoshopped and it looks bad, but the whole time it's been real?
Should that matter, though? If this was all real done in camera with no Photoshop, but we still are confused.
No, because the truth is, and the way we want to rate everything is as though we were somebody who's looking to hire you, and we come to your website and we see this picture. That's how we want to rate it. And to me, this looks like Photoshop. I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't look like she's stomping her foot down, creating a big splash. So,
gosh, it's so close though to being at least a solid 3.
Yeah, it is. I feel like her expression's a little strange, but you know, she moves her head a little bit. It could be pretty solid, but I don't understand what's happening at the bottom. That's why I gave it a 2. My eye goes right to that, and I just think like, oh, that's a mistake, or oh, that's poor Photoshop.
Yeah.
Next. This is interesting because I've seen at least like 6 pictures that are done the exact same. And I don't understand if this is from a movie. I don't understand if this is a comic book.
It's like this is almost a genre in and of itself.
We're going to take a girl. We're going to paint her face to look like a
Skull
with train tracks on her face. Then we're going to put a veil over her head and flowers. Like, it's so weirdly specific. There must be something that we just don't know.
Yeah, I think we don't understand this thing.
Okay, so if this is like cosplayer from a movie or something, we apologize. I have no idea what it is. I've seen
It's like a Tim Burton movie we haven't seen.
Yes, it could be. Maybe that is it. I don't know. That actually makes a lot of sense now that you say that. Are you ready to rate it?
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. You gave it a 3. I gave it a 4.
I think I could give this a 4 if I knew what maybe I don't know. Like if everyone who sees this instantly it clicks and they know, then they would say this is really well done. But for me, it's really well done though. Like I look at the background and like the drawings, and I don't know if that was done as a backdrop or that was done in post. But the flowers, the makeup's incredible. Everything about this, it really is a 4. I just kind of feel like this thing is starting to become cliche to me.
Oh, it is. I mean, because every picture is the exact same. Like, if I wanted to take a picture of a girl with makeup on her face that looked like a skeleton, I wouldn't put a crown of flowers on her head also. But every single person does.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put a veil on
her.
her head, but every single person does. So I've seen this picture. I've seen like 5 others. I've seen the one Julia took. We should just ask her. She's one of our writers.
Yeah,
Hers was
like
hers was
top,
amazing. Yeah,
top
like
10 or 20
hers is a 4 or 5 star for sure. This one's excellently done too, so that's why I gave it a 4. But I don't understand what these pictures are. So, anything else? Next picture. All right, this looks like a wedding picture. Looks like this is our specialty. We are wedding photographers. Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. You know, we take thousands of pictures at every single wedding. The majority of our pictures are level 2 and 3 pictures. And the average public will never see those pictures. I don't put 2 or 3 pictures in my portfolio. I try to only put at least level 4 pictures in my portfolio. So that being said, this image is a fine image to deliver to your client, but to put this in your portfolio seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
Nothing about this is exceptional. The lighting's bad. It looks like direct flash. It almost looks like...
It looks like she's by a window maybe, but then there's like one of those can lights above her hitting down. It's giving her like the light on the shoulder. And then she's
there's
backlit
definitely
too.
that, but there's a hard light coming straight at her, and it doesn't even look like a hard light from a direct, big speed light. If you look like under her nose, there's absolutely no shadow whatsoever, which makes me think this might have been taken with a point-and-shoot camera with a on-camera flash like right next to the lens. I don't know. It just looks like a snapshot to me. It's obviously better than something somebody could do with an iPhone or something.
I mean, at this stage, like she's looking at you, so she's giving you attention.
Yes.
At that stage, it just takes 2 seconds to like maybe spin her body around. I think it would slim her down. At least it would help kind of like make her look slimmer than she does in this picture. It would show the dress a lot better. She could like open up her neck a little more so she doesn't have the lines on the neck. It just kind of seems like for this to be a portrait, she's sitting a little weird. It almost looks like a candid where she just looked over and saw the photographer and then smiled, which is fine. Deliver it to him like it's great. But if you're going to take it that next step and actually make this a portrait that might be usable on your website, I think you really have to fix the pose. And
But in many cases, we take pictures all the time where they're not posed, right? Like this could have been a real moment. She's talking to a friend, camera left, and then she looks over and you snap a picture. So I'm not going to tell her, hey, you need to change your pose. It's just another snapshot that I took during the day. However, what I would have done, I would have taken my flash that was pointed directly at her if I had a speed light. which you should if you're a wedding photographer, turned it to the left, camera left, bounced it off the wall to the left, and then lit her down the side
It's
of her
closest to the
face.
backlight.
Yes.
And then she'd have some modeling on her face. It would be like a natural look.
And then I would have gotten the shot of her looking at me, and then I would have gotten the shot of her looking back at her friend or down at her hand. You would have gotten a few different types of shots. The lighting would have looked exponentially better. You still wouldn't have told her, hey, we need you to move or pose in a different way. It's still a candid image, but it just looks way more
Does the
professional.
crop bother you? I mean, it seems like...
It's definitely weird to me. The reason why I would let the crop kind of slide is because I think they're trying to get the whole window in there.
It gives you
know?
context that
Yeah.
it's not just some blown out thing in the background.
Yeah, but it feels weird to me too. All right, next image. Oh, we talked about this one before.
Is this? Yeah, this one did come up with some food photography.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. I think it's just great. You know, I love the lighting. I love the subject matter. I love the crop. I love the purpley post-production. This is becoming really big now. This look on images, it looks like natural light, but in a really well-done way. You know, something like this could be considered a snapshot, but in my opinion, it's still a level 4 image. What do you think?
I think the chef is giving so much. There's so much energy in this. He's got whatever it is, the pesto, and he's got the spoon. He's putting it down, and he's got the look, and you have enough, you know, environment context to see that he's in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a great shot. You know, if I was that guy and had this as an image, I'd be happy. If I was a magazine that's publishing an article about this guy, I'd love to have this as a feature image. It just, with the post-production, it gives it that one little edge that makes it a little more unique than the super bright, airy, perfectly colored images that you're used to seeing in this genre. And I think that's kind of interesting.
I agree. Next shot. This one's a little tough. I'm in between numbers, but I think I'm ready.
All right.
3, 2, 1. 2 star,
2.
3 star. I'd give it a 2.5. I feel like the food styling in this picture is great, but the rest of the shot has absolutely no styling, you know? The fact that they didn't even get like a...
Clean plate.
Yeah, they have the plate with the weird thing just in the bottom right. It just... I don't know. This just seems like a very well-lit snapshot to me. It doesn't appear to be natural light. I assume that a strobe's used, camera left. Pretty big softbox, or the light's just pretty close, but...
I mean, it looks like a lot of the shots I take at a wedding. You bounce a light into a big wall that's close to this, you're going to get a similar look. My food would never look like this because the stuff I would pick at the wedding would never have that perfect cream on top. So I think you're right with the styling. Little things that, like, I kind of feel like you could Photoshop these little crumbs, like inconsistencies in the
Definitely,
dish.
but more than that, I just look at this like blurry gray background. Wouldn't this be so much better if you had a little bitty pure white plate and this thing's sitting on a table, and you get down low and you shoot, and you have the you're shooting through a window maybe, and you have the speckledy light coming through the trees behind it or something, or you have it in a kitchen and you've got all the kitchen cabinets in the background and you have light coming in from the sides.
Even if you didn't shoot from low, I like to shoot food from low a lot of times just because it makes it look epic. But from this angle, if you kept this angle, I think you're right with the background. Like, maybe you pick a smaller plate, or you make the background wood grain or something more interesting. It's just kind of like, this looks like it's just on a seamless gray studio floor and a plate and the food. Like,
yeah, not much is going on. I don't know. I'm not
offended by it.
I'm not offended to the point where I'm like, oh, you definitely can't put this on your website, but it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you understand lighting, obviously, just take it that little step further and make it awesome, you know? And it falls short for me. Next up. This is...
I know the photographer for this image.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think I do too, because you told me something about a elevator picture. I've never seen this before, though. This is really tough.
I think I could go between numbers on this one.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. 3 and 4. Would you go 3.5?
I
Would you
think
go
I was.
4.5?
I think I was gonna go 4.5.
Really?
Especially if when I see it on this black.
I know why you would do it. Is because when you see this picture as a wedding photographer, you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, how in the hell did they plan this? Like, that's just...
It's a shot that I would never take, but if
Yeah.
my assistant pulled this off, I would be like, good thinking on that one.
Yeah.
It's too risky for me to shoot.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
such
I should take
a lot of time.
maybe I should take more risks like this, but
Yeah.
it's one of those like I just love the lines, and then on the edge of the frame it has the black and white there.
Yeah.
Everything's perfectly symmetrical, the lighting's perfect, the tones in the gray, the conversion, like it's to me it's definitely a solid 4 for me.
The reason why I give it a 3 and not a 4 is just because I don't like I feel like the guys look way better than the girls, and the girls are always more important, you know? The girls are talking to each other and turning around backwards. The bride looks like she's zoning out. The guys look perfect. They're posing and they look good. And
But
so
sometimes I don't know that you can hold that. We've had these arguments with people in the office about photojournalistic images and how do they rate among studio lit shots, and part of me thinks it applies to this. Like, you want to say everyone should look perfect in the image, but maybe it says a lot about the photo that the girls are talking and having a casual fun time, and the guys are actually the ones that are trying to look.
But this isn't photojournalistic. Like, this was obviously planned. There's no way that the photographer happened to be
Right.
across the street.
And they both are taking elevators like one floor apart from each other.
It didn't happen. So I think I would prefer this image right now with both the groomsmen and the bridesmaids. It's a little cliche to me. I think I would like it way more if it were just the groom and just the bride in separate things. If she's not going to pose cool, then he doesn't need to pose either, and it needs to be totally realistic. And then it's one of those things where it's like, whoa. And you can make up 1,000 stories in your mind. I wonder if they've seen each other yet. I wonder if they're going to see each other when they get down to the bottom. I wonder how long it is until the ceremony. All these things. But when I see this picture, I go right to, that's a clever pose picture. Man, the bridesmaids kind of screwed it up.
I think it's just the one on the right. Is it a shadow, or is she looking down?
She's looking backwards and she's looking sideways, and the bride just seems to be zoned out to me. So, as a wedding photographer, I'm very impressed with this picture, but I'm not sure that this would impress
people who
a
look at
bride.
Oh, a bride.
I think if the bride happened to be at this exact venue, she would say, like, I want to do the elevator shot.
I disagree. I think a bride would look at this and be like, that's incredible. But somebody who like judges or looks at wedding pictures all day from, somebody who's like a professional critiquer of wedding photos, like an association or something, they would look at this and say, it's very close, but it's not quite there. I think the bride would be more impressed by this.
Really?
Because she's looking at the basic idea of like, they're in the elevator.
Maybe
love
you're
that.
right. I just think most of the, you might be right. Most of my brides that are wowed by something,
Or wowed by the emotion.
they're wowed by the emotion, but at the same time, you are right. They're wowed by the idea. Oh, look how cute it is. The groom's holding the bouquet. Ha ha ha, that's cute.
Yeah.
And this is that type of picture. Look how cute it is. Both of us are in the glass elevator at once. So maybe you're right. The reason I said that was before was because I just feel like they're so small in the frame. It's one of these images that
If I had this in my portfolio, I don't think this would ever leave my portfolio. I think this image would be on my website forever.
And
because of
wouldn't-
that, It's in the 4 categories.
Okay, I wouldn't be offended if this was in my portfolio forever either. It's just, it's so close, but the girls.
One little, like, before you hit the buttons to go up, make sure you guys do this.
Well, I would imagine somebody's on a cell phone somewhere. What happened here?
Is the screen touch screen?
There we go.
Oh. That fits.
I did like that, and the screen went away.
You could imagine.
Somebody's on a cell phone. Somebody's talking to the photographer, and somebody's talking. Like, I have to imagine, and I would imagine it's the girls.
Yeah.
It's these girls right here who are, like, looking down. Anyway, I think we spent enough time on this picture. This one's very difficult to rate, in my opinion, because you're rating, like, the photography, you're rating the concept, you're rating the fact that it's on a wedding day and you only have a few seconds to get the shot. There's all these different facets, whereas, like, imagine if this had nothing to do with weddings whatsoever. What would you rate this picture? There's just 2 people in elevators. But there's just people going up to their rooms in elevators. What do you rate this image now?
It's still a clever idea.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. There's just people going up to their rooms.
If you put fashion people in there.
No.
Are you talking about just a snapshot? Vacationers?
Exactly.
Sure.
That's my point.
The people make it, but it's still a very well crafted image. If it's fashion, if it's a guy fashion and a girl model, or it's a bunch of mannequins, or it's like a bunch of artwork that's thrown, like, imagine your everything you own is thrown in there and it's a moving shot, like conceptual. Like,
well, sure. That's a totally different idea.
So you're right. We've spent enough time on this.
All right, let's move on. Now, this has a very similar tone to the last one.
Is this the same guy?
Let's go back and see. Oh, it is the same guy. Okay, because I see his name on it.
2 images have made it in.
All right, you're fired, assistant. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, 3. I like the post-production on this. It looks similar to the other one. Obviously, they were both done at the same time. I'm not a huge fan of this picture. I don't think the food styling's that great. The meat looks kind of slimy. You can actually see, like, drips on it. So,
I think for me, what I liked about the post-processing in the other picture that made it unique, I kind of feel like hurts this image because
it looks greenish.
Yeah, like this type of shot is supposed to make the food look really appealing and you want to eat it. And if this was published in the menu, this probably wouldn't get ordered a whole lot with this coloring and styling, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's where a very airy, natural colored image excels in this genre, is because you want it to look that way. This starts to look like a photographer took it. He got, you know, the 85 1.2, and he's got the super blurry background, and then he's added the post-production, and it's starting to look a little too stylized for me for food. But that's what I loved about the previous one, was it was like an environmental portrait, and it worked well with that.
I agree.
But then if the shots of that chef and his food were very bright and airy, I think it would kind of work well together.
Next. So I'm looking at this picture right now, and I'm thinking to myself, should this be in someone's portfolio or not? And that is what's going to help me.
Are you trying to persuade me
to
make the right choice?
No, I'm just telling everybody who's watching, and you, before they get mad at me, what my rating is going to be and why. All right, we ready? 3, 2, 1, 2. We agree. We're back on track now. I think the lighting on her is fantastic. Her expression's not great, but it's pretty good. I like her styling. I like her pose. She looks relaxed. The background just completely ruins it for me. It's like, why is she laying down on some weird
It's like
wooden
a dock that's not...
Yeah.
The wood's not the best of wood.
Yeah, and then the upper left is totally blown out. It just doesn't do it for me.
You either, if you're going to shoot at this focal length, you need like a very beautiful surroundings.
Yeah.
Or you shoot tighter, blur out the background more, narrow kind of what your background's going to be. The crop really bothers me.
The crop's so weird.
Her
the way.
foot's cut off.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one to say I don't care about limbs being cut off and heads being cut off as long as it fits well. I'm not one of these. I think you would agree. Like every foot and toe and head doesn't have to be in a picture.
Sure.
But she's centered in the frame, and her legs are cut off. It almost just seems like you should.
She has a super interesting body position, you know. And
her positioning looks fine. It looks
yeah.
great.
So you take the same shot, you move the camera to the side, you get her entire body. You have this unique diagonal angle going from bottom left to upper right, and I think it's pretty interesting. I think it needs to be taken in a completely different area. It's really weird that you'd take a picture right there, but I think the lighting on her looks good.
Yeah.
Next. Interesting. Very interesting. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I gave it a 4. You gave it a 3. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so I've seen this image before. This is one of the first. This image was on the community within the first week, and I remember seeing it. To me, I could talk about the positives or the negatives. I think what I dislike about this image is I just don't know that the model is the right model for this.
I completely agree.
And that takes a lot away. Like a lot of it. I mean, the lipstick's kind of a personal preference. The styling of the hair and everything, it's just...
You know, I'm not even going to go as far to say that the model's not right for the job. I think she could be. But her expression and her pose and the weight that she has on her legs is so statuesque, you know, like she's not relaxed at all. When I look at her, it looks like the photographer was saying, now we're trying to add some light stuff to your dress and your arms can't get in the way and your legs can't move, so hold this position. And it looks really uncomfortable to me. And so if this had been, you know, if she could have done some little spin and she's up on one foot and she's got the toe up on the other one or the heel up, and then her arms are moving around a little bit more, all of a sudden now it's like way more comfortable feeling to me.
Because the light painting has all this movement. That's like the whole concept is movement.
Yeah.
And then she's got this statuesque pose where if she was in the middle of like a twist and had some kind of energy in her body,
Yep.
you know, I think it would work better. And I think taking it to the 4 or 5 level, it's like you have the technique and the ideas there. But like if this was like a car ad or something and you have the city nightlife in the background photoshopped in and maybe like the car sitting there. I'm not saying this picture has to have a car and has to have a nightlight, you know, cityscape in it, but something else in the background just to show what more thought could go into this concept. The concept's so great that I feel like it just needs that one little extra something.
Yeah, I it's so close. I still had to give it a 4 just because I feel like the dress and the light painting do look so good.
The lighting on her looks really good too. I mean,
I think the lighting is good. I think the photographer might argue with me, but I think it bothers me that her hair is lost, and I might have added a hair light. But man, you just add a little bit more movement to that model, and then, like you said, if you have some cityscape in the background or something,
the 5.
Oh yeah,
like,
this would
very
be
easily.
so awesome.
It's definitely a memorable shot. I mean, I know we've always said 5s are memorable shots, but I think 3s
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable. I think
Yeah.
3s and 4s can have that element to it, and this definitely has that.
Yeah, it's so close. That's why I had to give it the 4. But I completely understand why you'd give it the 3. I mean, if you completely take out the light painting, it's a 3. You know,
Yeah.
there's no argument there. Next image. Nope. We're all done.
We made it through. So
I think we went a little faster this time, maybe.
I hope so, because these seem really long, but people have said how much they enjoy hearing the critiques in this detail. And we're critiquing things a little differently than I think a lot of people would do.
And I think what we want to do in the near future, we're going to start critiquing genres of photography. So we're going to be doing only food photography, or we might do only headshots or only architecture, and then maybe we can Skype in a Peter Hurley or a Mike Kelly to help us critique.
Yeah,
I think that could be.
It'd be fun having other photographers
pretty interesting.
Because I know you and I are probably seeing a lot of the same thing because we work together. To have somebody in a totally different genre.
Yes.
A fashion photographer who shoots fashion every day might see something totally different in an image like this.
Agreed. But again, if your image was reviewed and we reviewed it poorly, it was not to give you a hard time or discourage you, but rather to just give you two people's honest opinion. And I would hope that our rating, or the average of our rating, would be very similar to what the community has been rating these pictures on Fstoppers. So,
if you want to submit your own pictures to this, you need to upload them to your Fstoppers community profile. And right below here, we have a link to the post where you can actually post your link to your image, and then we can include that in a future episode.
Yep, and the community can actually rate all of your images. So as soon as you upload them, they'll be available for rating, and you'll just get an average rating on your pictures, which is really good because, like I said in the last critique, it's very easy to look at your image based on the amount of work you've put into it rather than just giving it a fair shot and saying, this image isn't good because the model is no good, you know? It doesn't matter that I spent 2 weeks planning it and 5 days shooting it. The model wrecks the image and it shouldn't be in my portfolio. And sometimes it's impossible to see that yourself until somebody else can show it to you. Yeah. So that's the whole concept of the community. But thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.